And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 131 of the MTB podcast, presented and hosted by Worldwide Cyclery. I am Jared.
I'm Liam.
I'm Trevor.
And we have an action-packed episode for you guys today with a bunch of awesome listener questions and some fun facts. Right, Liam?
Yeah, I guess they're going to be fun.
That's true. And I guess we'll just start right off with Zach's words of wisdom, which, you know, we should all take for a grain of salt because Zach is probably, I don't know, he's frustrating to watch work on his bike, isn't he, Liam?
He's has the patience of a toddler and the bike skills of someone who's never worked on a bike.
Yeah, but he has, which, you know, we try and help him every once in a while. But his words of wisdom today: if you don't know how to work on bikes, don't work on bikes. Which, you know,
wow, profound.
Profound. You know, and like I said, take that with a grain of salt. He has stripped every single bolt on his bike, just trying to like tighten up his linkage bolts. So I don't know, Trevor.
It's pretty amazing. Today, he was complaining about a T25 that came on a bike, and he's like, "Wonder who's going to be the first to strip this one out?" And he went to go loosen the bolt, and he wasn't using a T25, so it was about to be the first one. And I called him out right away before he touched it, and he was good to go.
Yeah,
a T25 is a very easy bit to get right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like it just fits in there, and it usually works. Yep. And I think torques for most bolts are better because they basically don't strip.
Yeah. You have to screw that one up to strip
right.
it. You still can.
Why isn't pivot hardware like big, like a T35?
Yeah, I think
or
big torques are pretty good. That slots in there nicely.
I love big torques bolts.
I love big torques, and I cannot lie.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, with that said about Zach, you know, I think if you just have a little more patience, and you might have, you know, you could work on bikes.
He's a really good customer sales agent for us. Agent might be pushing it. Really good customer sales representative for us.
There you go.
And
salesman. Great salesman, great customer support guy.
Provides tons of entertainment.
And, you know, just don't let him anywhere near your bike.
Yeah. He tries. I watch over him while he's working on his bike, and he tries. Sometimes I'll help him out or point him here and there, or sometimes I'll just do it for him.
Yeah.
You put two tires on today, one backwards, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I am proud of him. He has been carrying like CO2 and a multi-tool and stuff. And we were out for a ride the other day, and I was like, this has got to be one of the first rides in years where he has this stuff and I don't.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I was like, you know, if something happens, I really hope it does, so I can rely on him and use his stuff instead of mine for once.
Yeah. To all the listeners out there, don't be that guy. Don't always carry
always do it.
The essentials with you, so you're not that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I did just end up leaving Weaver out there. Like, dude, this is like time number 8. You haven't had stuff. I'm out, man.
Yeah, it's like in Top Gear, where it's like the golden rule is to like leave them behind and continue on the journey.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of journeys, apparently hippos can't swim. That's Daniel's fun fact for today.
Man, if I saw a hippo in the water, I would run.
I think they're one of the most dangerous animals in the animal kingdom.
I also think that is true, but then what do they do in water?
I feel like I always see hippos in water, though.
Apparently, they have a super high bone density, and they can't really float either. So they just kind of like, and they can't breathe underwater, so they just kind of walk along the bottom, and they like.
And if it gets too deep, they die?
No, they just like hold their breath and kind of stay near like shallow. They stay in like rivers and shallower bodies of water, I guess. So
nice and cool down there.
Apparently, yeah. I mean, think about it. Their bodies aren't very conducive to like being good swimmers, right? They're huge.
Yeah. Man, hippos are scary.
Super scary. I don't want to ever
hippos
have
and rhinos.
Yeah, hippos and rhinos. Yeah, and you know, we do have a new segment. I guess last episode, fantastic testimonials.
Yeah,
and
this one's actually fantastic. The last one was hilariously fantastic.
It was like a scoop and a slap. It was like some compliment, and also like, Jeff, you're a douche, which was pretty hilarious. But you know, we love you, Jeff. But this one's pretty funny. It says here. Hi, Jared, Liam, Jeff, and Trevor. I just wanted to write an email purely to say a heartfelt thanks for running the MTB podcast. I haven't had the best of times recently, and listening to you guys have a laugh and chat about mountain biking really cheers me up. I found myself laughing out loud at one of the podcasts one day and wondering if you all knew how much you do for the listeners. So I thought I'd let you know. So thanks again. I really appreciate it. Please keep doing what you're doing. Rob. P.S. My favorite bit of the podcast is hearing about your recent rides. Might sound mundane, but hearing about everything from your local loop to an epic ride you did is really interesting. So thank you, Rob.
Thanks,
we
Rob.
Really appreciate
Rob.
that.
Robbie.
And we will keep putting out podcasts for you all.
It's cool to know that us talking to each other in a room is actually making an impact on somebody or keeping someone entertained and reaches more than just what you think. So it's pretty sweet. People
do listen, and we appreciate you guys across the world, which is crazy.
It does surprise me sometimes people listen.
Just through goofballs. But you know what? We're here for it, and we appreciate you guys being here for it too.
Yeah, speaking about hearing about epic rides, what epic rides have you guys gone on lately? That's
a great question. Personally, I've been riding my Forbidden Druid V2 quite a bit. I swapped up the tires a little bit. I think you saw me do that. I took off the Vittorias, or I put them on a different wheel set that I was testing out just because I wanted something a little more trail friendly. So I put a Continental Cryptotol front in the front and then a Xylitol in the rear.
What casing?
Just the trail casing or the lighter one, whatever. And it's actually been pretty awesome, except for that one little thing up at the water tower with that stupid cutty I was doing. We were filming a video for Kettle, and we were doing the dirt was very good. There was a couple little ruts, and we were doing some cutties and stuff, just kind of messing around a little bit. And Jared was kind of rolling the tire, burping it, and then it just started to go flat, and we're like, damn. Sealant spraying out of the we couldn't really, we thought you pinched it. How do you pinch it on a little rut? Yeah. Like going not very fast, no rocks really. No. It's very confusing. And we got back to the shop. The tire was not pinched. No. And there was just dirt in between the bead and the tire. Yeah. And I've never seen that before. It wouldn't seal. It was crazy. And I just cleaned it out, put some fresh sealant in there. And it's fine. Yeah. So, and I rode it multiple times since then.
I don't know if that's a case of the tire specifically, though.
It's probably user error.
I
think it's just combination and user error.
I think it's unlucky.
Yeah.
I've never seen that personally. I was like pretty convinced you pinched it because
me too.
Air came out. We couldn't plug it. Yeah, we filled up air. Air kept on leaking out of it, and it was like, well,
you wasted CO2 on that?
No, I had a pump. Yeah.
So I was pretty stoked for that, and just kind of like put some dirt in there and pumped it up and whatever. I limped it back to the shop, and it was fine. So it's been good since then, but. Yeah, it's probably a combination of not enough air pressure or sealant. Or not enough air pressure, and he was rolling it on purpose. And just kind of like wah, rat. And then it just goes like, oh, that was stupid. But yeah, riding that bike a bunch and just loving it. Sweet. Yeah. What about you, Trevor? Man, the dirt has been epic in Southern California lately. Yeah. I've been riding the Crestline e-bike still. Nice. Been having a ton of fun on that. That's been good. I've also
with the big new Maven stoppers on it.
With the big new Maven brakes, yeah. Got a chance to test those out before those came out, and got to show my honest review on it on the Worldwide site, which is go check that out if you want to. And I've been super impressed by those. Been putting them through their paces on some pretty fast downhill runs, and we can talk more about those later. But yeah, I've been super impressed by those. Been also riding my Yeti SB140. Rode that this weekend. I got to ride with Reggie Miller this weekend.
I was going to say
super cool. NBA Hall of Famer, super nice guy, and he's getting ready for some SoCal Enduros. So he's been riding a lot of road and gravel and some XC, does some XC racing, but really hasn't pushed himself on anything kind of gnarly and chunky. So kind of had me and some friends go and coach him down some gnarlier stuff, and it was a little scary, to be honest. I don't know. He's just super tall. He's 6'7".
That's crazy.
He's just lanky. He's got a triple XL Santa Cruz high tower.
Oh my god,
it's huge, like 800 mil bars and high rises, and it still looks small on him.
Yeah, he's like the lankiest guy.
Pretty wild, but I think if he figures it out, he can use that to his advantage. You know, your arms and legs are a lot of suspension, right?
Yeah.
So he's kind of passenger mode on the bike, kind of stuck on it. So he needs a little bit more time riding some gnarly stuff, but help him out and get him comfortable. So,
nice.
Get a little more active on the bike.
Did you ask him the real question if he would come on our podcast?
I did not, but we're gonna get to it though. Okay. Oh, yeah. If you guys want to see Reggie on the podcast, maybe send him a DM on Instagram, something like that, and
harass him a little bit.
Get the juices flowing a little bit, and maybe we'll have Reggie as a guest on here. It'd be pretty cool.
That would be iconic.
Yeah. What have you been riding, Liam?
A lot of drop bar bikes. I did have a new bike day over the weekend. It was a drop bar bike.
Oh yeah, you're the roadie, huh?
New roadie.
I have a new roadie. Still one by and still has 35C tires. So I'm not like really a roadie. You know?
True roadie is what, 2x?
2x and like 28s. They think 28s are big.
Oh geez.
Yeah. 30s are like, whoa, what are you doing?
Well, don't they say that's like the fastest road tire now? Not to go too big of a road tire tangent, but
what?
Like that 28C is like just as fast. No.
Oh,
23 is
32 is faster.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Most of the time. So
things are evolving.
They're evolving.
Put your flame suit on. Get ready.
Throw away the 28s and the 26s.
Yeah.
I remember my dad would be like running like 23s.
I know.
Yeah.
And like 100 PSI,
Mm-hmm.
dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, the times are changing.
Crank those bad boys up to 120.
Right?
So I had that and ride mountain bikes.
Yeah. It's been fun lately, man. The dirt's been good. Weather's been good.
I rode some good super steep trails out in what's that, like North Valley, Verdugo.
Mm-hmm.
There's still a little secret, so we
north of LA.
North of LA. Pretty steep, pretty sweet trails though, all on one hill, and like they're proper with some good gap jumps too.
That's right.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, I gotta check that out still.
That sounds like a great time.
There's a lot of cool places to ride in LA. LA, as far as people say, LA sucks for cycling, but hey man, it's pretty rad for cycling.
Yeah.
It's a sleeper, you know?
It's a sleeper.
People sleep on it. I mean, we got a bunch of different zones.
LA is the concrete jungle, but also surrounded by mountains everywhere. Yeah. So it's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yep.
As long as you can find a place where everybody else isn't at.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Good luck with
good
that.
luck. Yeah.
Good luck with that. Yeah. I mean, or like you said, we're surrounded by, like, depending on the terrain, you could find
case
whatever
of
you
right
want.
now where there's not rivers flowing through all the trails.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, a bigger issue now than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Certainly makes things a little interesting. Speaking of interesting, Liam, you just got back from a little trip out east.
Little trip.
For a little event.
Little trip.
Tell us about it.
Yep. I went to a Michelin media event for 5 new tires that are coming out.
Whoa.
Wow.
So we went to ride Rock Creek and ride Canuga to do some tire testing.
Those are Nico's bike parks, right?
Those are Nico's bike parks. They are also really rad. So
did you see him?
Yeah, I rode with him every day.
Huh.
Hung out with him, went to dinner.
Duh.
I didn't tell him I was coming though, and I rolled up and he goes, What the hell are you doing here? Yeah.
He didn't know?
No, I didn't.
Can I get a pass for the bike park?
I had texted Logan because I thought Logan lived next to him, but actually Nico lives next to him, and that makes more sense. And Logan lives in Tennessee.
Oh, right.
So, but it was like the morning of, and I didn't end up texting him, and I forgot. And then, I saw his girlfriend first, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" And then saw Nico, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" So
that's great.
Anyways, Michelin came out with new Wild Enduro tires for your normal bike. They have the Wild Enduro MS for, I think, mixed soft.
Oh.
Wild Enduro MH for mixed hard. And then the Wild Enduro Rear, which is a rear-specific tire. It's more than a semi-slick, but not quite like a DHR. Mm-hmm. So those are kind of the 3 combos. You can kind of run either the mixed soft or mixed hard as a front. The mixed soft's a really good front. It kind of mimics a Cryptotol Assegai in a way. The mixed hard mimics a bit more of like a DHR or the Cryptotol rear. And then the Enduro rear is kind of like its own style tire, but I did not get to ride that one. I rode mixed soft front, mixed hard rear on my Revel Rail 2.9, and they're really good.
Sweet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard good things about those tires.
I need to put them through a bit more paces here with trails I know and on our local terrain because the dirt was pretty good and those bike parks are built really good.
Yeah.
So it's hard to like really push them and like kind of feel where they're going to break. But and then they have 2 new E-Wild Enduro tires or E-Wild. I think they're just E-Wilds, front E-Wild rear, which are e-bike specific. And they do a big emphasis on the e-bike traction for climbing on the rear tire. Mm-hmm. So it actually like kind of mimics a moto tire in a way. And that one was weird climbing up downhill trails, pretty sick. And obviously the EWS E, they race up. Yeah. They have an up stage. Mm-hmm. So that's like a big part of it. So traction was insane on that. And then it rained one day and the rear tire was like so hard to break loose. Like I don't think you realize how much a normal tire just kind of drifts naturally under you when you ride a tire that's absolutely on rails.
Yeah.
So it took a little bit getting used to because it like when you expect it to drift and it does it, it almost stands you up. But yeah, 5 new tires from them. They come out in the 1st, but this podcast will come out after that. So
sweet.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, stoked to try all those out over here and get going on them. But
it's cool to see a big company like that putting a lot of R&D into mountain bike tires.
Yeah,
Totally.
a lot of R&D. They had the engineers out there and designers, and they were, going over everything about them and the concepts and all this stuff. And Michelin's a massive company.
Yeah.
So for them to like be putting in any kind of work in a bike's cool. And Michelin's always made good tires for a long time. Like the Wild AM, Jeff loved it. He rode it for a long time. Sam Hill has all of his EWS wins on Michelin tires.
That's true.
Yeah. I feel like they haven't updated those in probably like almost, 10 years or something, or
No,
maybe 8 or
no.
something.
They're sooner than that. Like 5 years or so.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I mean, you haven't really seen much coming out of that Michelin world for bike tires, I
They've
guess.
just been a bit hard to get in the distribution on the US, but that has since been changed, and we will have some at launch, and we'll also have an article up as well.
Oh,
So
sick.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Love to hear that.
check it out.
Love to hear that. Speaking about new things, new Crankbrothers Mallet Trail BOA shoes. Pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I'm
And,
digging those.
We've all been on the BOAs.
Yeah.
I've gotten a chance to ride those, and it was actually my first time riding Crankbrothers clips. So it's kind of a new world for me. I've pretty much always ridden Shimano SPD and Specialized 2FO or Shimano shoes. So that was a whole new world for me. And man, those shoes are really good, actually. I've been super impressed by them. The bow is nice. The strap is nice. There's kind of a super big platform on the actual sole of the shoe, which is good for hike biking or for impact. If you have to dab your foot or something, it's a little bit more of a cush on there.
For sure.
And then it just integrates with the Crankbrothers super nicely. At first, it was kind of hard for me to clip in and out of Crankbrothers. Just a totally different system than Shimano.
For sure.
But after like 5 rides, man, I actually kind of like it now. So
Nice.
I needed to give it a fair shot because I was not very happy at first.
Yeah, you almost swapped right back, huh?
I almost did, but I was like, you know what? That's not very fair.
Persevere.
I need to adapt to this a little bit and figure it out on different zones and climates and figure that out. And yeah, it's actually super good.
Nice.
I like it. And
That's
it's easy to get
awesome.
in, like easy to get out. And it's good.
Yeah. I mean, I've had Crankbrothers shoes since they released them in 2020, I think it was. So I've had the same ones for 3 years.
Same.
And same exact ones.
They've held up really well.
Yeah, they do. They do hold up pretty well. And one of my only gripes, I had 2 gripes about them. I felt like a decent amount of dirt got in them or some rocks. It was just a very skate style shoe with a pretty big opening.
Yeah, a lot of padding around the back.
And then the padding, which made for a super comfortable shoe, if you ever got it wet, took a little bit to dry, more so than some other shoes. So this new BOA is a slimmer profile, more ripstop material, so it doesn't absorb water as much. And it has a neoprene cuff.
Yeah.
Is it neoprene? I don't know.
think
It has a
so.
cuff
Yeah.
that basically wraps up to your ankle. So
And that
almost no debris gets in.
That cuff is awesome.
Yeah.
I this past weekend pretty much rode in a river and my feet were completely dry and no dirt got in. I used to have the Shimano ME7 shoes, which had that cuff similar to it. And I love that about it because you would never get dirt in your shoes. And these have the same idea in that. And massive fan of that design.
They definitely
Sick.
look a touch space bootish.
Yeah.
But
They felt that way originally too, because the 2FOs are very skate shoe-esque as well. You kind of feel like you're wearing Vans.
Yeah.
And these ones have a little bit more support, but once you get used to it, forget about it. And man, they're actually pretty good.
Yeah. I rode them every day in North Carolina. I've ridden them here as well.
Yeah.
And
Once you break them in. too.
yeah, they're starting to break in and feeling good. So
Sick.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely some of my favorite riding shoes I have ever worn, personally, the Crankbrothers ones.
Yep.
And I've been on Mallet E's, since those came out, whatever, like 2015. And the BOAs, or the Mallet shoes, since those came out too. Those have been really good.
Nice.
Sick. Yeah. Love new shoes. Crestline and Aaron Gwin.
Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
Quick munching for our boys.
Yeah. I mean, I know you told me they were kind of like talking about that might happen. And I was like, oh, okay. Seems like a long shot. And I was like, whoa.
I mean, it kind of was a long shot. I had a couple chats with Troyden and he's like, oh, I'm trying for this, man. We'll see if it happens. And then I kind of didn't hear from him for like 5-7 days. And then boom, it was on Pink Pike. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Pulled it, made it happen.
I guess they did something.
Yeah, you kind of like hush mentioned it to me a little bit too. I was like, yeah, that's cool. That seems like a long shot as well.
Yeah.
And then I was actually riding with Mark, who's kind of the like silent owner of Crestline as well with Troyden. And I was riding with him and he was talking about Aaron and I didn't really put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah.
And then he's like, check out this article. It's on Pink Bike. He's like, it's super long. I'm like, oh, it's a podcast though, so they're just transcribing it.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm gonna look at the comments though. Thought that was kind of funny. And I was like, oh, Aaron Gwin, you signed Aaron Gwin to your bike company.
Oh, that guy.
That guy. I was like, that's a huge deal, dude.
So sick.
So pretty cool to see that.
I just think it's cool for Crestline. I think it'll give him a lot of notoriety.
Yeah.
And they're gonna, as they have been, but they're gonna continue to develop the line and make like a solid line of gravity focused bikes. Mm-hmm. And I also think this will mean there'll be a permanent downhill bike in the lineup, which
I would love that.
Hasn't been yet.
Because you had the downhill bike for a little bit, and I knew it was just limited run. They kind of stopped production of it, and I was like, damn, like
I know
it'd be kind of cool to have one of those, or just to at least ride it and try it out. And
for sure,
I thought that was kind of going to be the end of it. And then this whole Gwin thing comes along, and now Gwin's going to develop this downhill bike even further than it already is. And it was kind of developed by Nico, right? In Cascade.
Not developed by Nico, but Troyden took cues from Nico's like initial frameworks.
Gotcha.
So Geo's very similar. Kinematics follow a very similar kind of theory. So,
and like, could you ask for better than that?
Exactly.
I don't think so.
Right.
So that's pretty cool.
Nico took that from what him and Gwin were testing on Intense and kind of doing all that. So
it's just a very
simplified
tested platform already as far as numbers and geometry goes. So I'm pretty excited to see where that leads to. Hopefully his team does well this season. It'll be pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's super sick. And I'm honestly super stoked to see the bikes that come out of this. And I feel like you said, development of the future line of bikes, like an enduro bike would be super sick.
Yeah, I think enduro's pretty far down the line, but a new updated e-bike and a new downhill bike are definitely, first ones to come. So
sick.
Yep.
Exciting.
Love to hear that. Well, boys, should we jump into our first listener question?
Let's do it.
All right. What are y'all's biggest gripes about each other's bike setup, i.e. brake position, torqued drivetrain, terrible suspension setup? My buddies and I can't get on each other's bikes without being appalled. I want to know if that goes for you too.
So we're talking about what we don't like about one of your guys' bike setups?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I have one already.
Oh, jeez.
I think you run your brake levers way too close to your bar.
Yeah, I got that from Jeff.
Yeah. Jeff does as well. That would just scare me.
Way even more than you.
Right, the contact point.
The contact point is like at the grip, basically.
The grip. I can't do that. I didn't know yours was like that.
It's not as bad as Jeff's. It's like a couple clicks further, but I did that because he was like, I run them super close because it reduces like arm pump on super long sustained downhills.
Everyone's theory for reducing arm pump.
It's crazy.
Well, because it's like if you actually hold your arms out like this, or like if you have your fingers outstretched like that, you can actually feel the difference in like the tendons in your arms, right? Like over a sustained period of time versus like just kind of a little bit closer to your grip. I don't know. You guys can take that for what it's, but I agree. If Jeff was here, I would say the same thing about his setup because I was like, dude, you're crazy. I can't even pull them all the way into the bars. Like I can't even slow down on your bike. But I mean, that's a good one. That's a fair point.
Yeah. I don't know if I have anything bad to say about your setup, Liam. I think maybe you're just like go crazy about tire setup too much.
I get in the weeds about little things. But
you're just like a little OCD about that, but it's not that big.
I'd say for the most part, it's pretty neutral. Like bar roll, brake setup, like it's all very neutral. I slammed my stem on the bearing the other day and Trevor was flipping out.
That is one thing. I could not live with Liam's slammed stem action. Every bike, it's like there's...
So Liam was trying to slam his stem down on his gravel bike as far as possible. Farther than possible, maybe.
Farther than possible.
He took the top cap off of the headset.
The dust cap.
The dust cap and just had it on the bearing race. So the bearing was just exposed to the elements, which is fine. We have a bunch of those laying around and it's not that big a deal. It just looks horrible.
Pretty funny.
It didn't. If it was it was a green like seal on the bearing next to blue frame, so it looked really bad. If it was a black seal, it wouldn't look as bad.
Yeah.
But that was pretty funny.
I'd say pretty funny.
The only one I think of Trevor is you like your bars rolled a touch farther forward than what I prefer.
Yeah.
It's not like crazy. You're not like way over, but it's just a touch more.
Yeah.
But it's not a lot. That'd be like I think my only thing that I notice.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that just comes from I'm pretty tall and lanky.
Yeah.
And I just like to be standing up on the bike and not kind of leaned over as far. But that's all personal.
For sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I can't complain. I mean, I feel like I've learned a lot of bike setup just from you building bikes over the years, and in terms of like bar roll and brake position and stuff like that. So, I mean, I can't really knock that.
But some of my buddies, Corey Newer runs his bars rocked way forward, and his levers are like I think his levers are pointed up.
Same with Leighton too.
Leighton's are like flat. Corey's are up. Like you lock your wrists.
How do you
like
do
up.
that?
I don't know.
They're just used to the motocross style. I think the moto style, you kind of run them up, and because you're going up hill climbs. And stuff.
So we were talking about this though in North Carolina. You sit down on a moto and your bars are a bit higher, and like you said, you're doing a lot more like uphill.
Mm-hmm.
On a mountain bike, you're doing a lot more downhill. Which I guess though, if you're going downhill and your levers are rocked up, they become less rocked up. But
yeah, that's the reasoning I thought. Right, you roll them up for like super steep downhills, like you see those guys in Squamish or like Remy or whatever.
Well, you can have it's like more support against your actual arm instead of your forearm.
Yeah, so
but that's a tough position to get to do as well and to get used to. It's pretty extreme.
Yeah, or like I could see, if your levers are pointed down a ton and you're going down a super steep downhill, like that would be counterintuitive, right?
Definitely.
And like really bad for your body position. So I could see like a happy medium there, but
I think in general though, we could all get on each other's bikes and ride them just fine.
Yeah.
I think I would probably just move your contact out a little bit, Jared, but just for my own safety concerns.
Right.
But,
and with the exception of like your suspension being softer just because you're 50 pounds, 40 pounds lighter than me or whatever.
Exactly. So,
well, just a little guy.
I tend to run my suspension slower than a lot of people too. Like my roommates will get on the bike and be like, dude, your suspension's way too slow. And sometimes I agree with them, but sometimes it's just how I feel is right on the trail, you know?
Yeah.
So super personal.
I guess you kind of cut your bars a little narrow for my taste too.
My bars are narrow for most,
Yeah. I like them like 770, 780.
Yeah.
Sweet. What do you like, 740, 750, 760?
750 on most bikes. My XC bike, I went 740 to get real XC, and just like a test bike or whatever, I'll do like 760. Because me and Jeff will share test like setup. We live at 760, and we have one also at 780. So we'll just swap that out. That way we don't have to cut bars on demo bikes. So one more quick one, and then we'll hear from our paid sponsors.
You want to read that one, Liam?
Yep. How do I fit 5 bikes into my 10 by 11 spare room with the most efficiency, with one bike attached to the trainer in the middle of the room?
Does that mean that's 6 bikes or 5 minus 1?
Oh, that's a good question. Either way.
10 by 11 is pretty small.
It is.
110 square feet by, to be exact.
Wow. Dude, you should be a mathematician.
Quick maths. Quick maths, mate.
I think probably the best ones are the Toe Peak Easy Swing.
Yeah.
That's what we use at the shop. That's what I have in my garage. It's like a pretty standard rack that you hook your front wheel into like the Home Depot kind of hook. Mm-hmm. And then, but it swings. So the bike only sticks out as far as your handlebars stick out from the wall. Mm-hmm. I also used to live in a small 2-bedroom, and I had 2 of those on the wall that kind of helped get it in that spare room. I have, what are those racks called? The stash racks or something?
Oh, the ones where they hang and you can all organize them?
Yeah. I don't know the name of that.
That's what that's I've got a similar kind of problem in my house. I've got
35 bikes.
Three or 4 roommates, and we all ride a lot of different bikes, and in one garage we try to maximize space. And we use the same kind of rack system where the tire hangs on the front tire and pivots out to one side, and you can really get efficient that way and save a lot of space.
Yeah.
If it's a 10 by 11 room, however, that's pretty tough. You're just gonna have to swing out bike rack is definitely the move, and the bike has to be vertical as well. So,
I think so.
Or hang it from the ceiling if you can. Maybe that might look horrible, but
you could probably do that. I have just the regular cheap Park Tool hooks that you can do that with, put it in a corner or something. Which I found has worked pretty well just for a super cheap solution. But for the most bang for your buck or space for your buck, probably those Toe Peak or the Swingaways you guys are talking about.
I think I have 6 of them in my garage. So.
Yep, same.
Yeah. Well,
cool.
How about a quick break?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Paid ads.
And now. Excuses got you stuck in the flatlands? Ditch the doubt. Dust off the potato chips. The Downhill Southeast Race Series is calling. These ain't your mama's mountain bike races. They're a primal scream against what-ifs. Shred fear, conquer trails, unleash your inner beast. Downhill Southeast. Register now. Glory awaits. Visit downhillsoutheast.com right now. I could just do a normal one too.
No, you have to stick with that one.
I think it's funny, but I wouldn't actually use this as an ad.
It's perfect.
And now, back to the show. Listener questions. Okay. I am currently riding a mullet with aluminum wheels, mostly on the front range in Colorado. The rear wheel is pretty banged up and dented, and I'd love to upgrade to carbon wheels, but the budget doesn't agree right now. Would it be crazy if I just upgraded the rear wheel to carbon? The lifetime warranty most wheels offer is appealing, and my front wheel is still in good shape. Other than looking like a bozo with mixed brand wheels, is there a reason this would be a bad idea? I don't think so. I mean, there's also other aluminum wheels that offer lifetime warranty, like the turbine and I think the reserve wheels.
Yeah, my thought is if you're banging up alloy that much, you're going to be breaking carbon probably a lot.
Think so?
I mean, it depends how dented they are, but like usually a good dent on an alloy wheel would have been a broken carbon wheel.
Yeah.
So
maybe try going up a tire casing.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
Go up in tire casing. And depending on the quality of your alloy wheels, like getting like a DT Swiss 511 rim, which is, I don't know, how much does that retail for? 160?
Maybe like $100, I thought?
It's 150.
150?
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, you could buy 4 of those for the cost of 1 carbon rim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
They're much better quality than, you know, the stock alloy rim that came on your bike.
100%. Yep.
So
that's what I would do as well. I mean, there's also no shame in running a mixed wheel brand. I mean, there's like, do what you got to do, right? So,
yeah.
It's not doesn't look the best, but screw it.
Yeah.
You got to do what you got to do.
My only thought is you might also be breaking a lot of carbon, which those lifetime warranties are great, but sometimes they are 2 to 3 week turnarounds to get you back on your bike.
Yeah.
So
you might get shafted. Well, there you go. You could have, I mean, you could just, get this dialed in and get another. You could have 2 wheel sets. I don't know. That's not crazy.
That doesn't sound like it fits the budget, but
I mean, yeah, but some of these like, some of these aluminum wheels, like the wheel sets are pretty affordable. I don't know.
Yeah,
they are.
So yeah, you could spend that much on a whole new wheel set, and then you could even just have like these as a backup. I don't know.
True.
Yeah. Or a bike park wheel set.
An alloy wheel set probably costs as much as 1 carbon rear wheel.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So then you could have a bike park wheel set, throw some downhill casing on there, and keep it for the rainy days. And there you go.
Yep, I agree.
There you go. All right, Trevor, you want to read the next one?
What are your go-to optics for riding? Expensive glasses worth it? Do you have a preferred lens color? Thanks, and love the podcast. I've been rocking a buddy's brand called Dirty Bird Eyewear.
Dirty Bird
Activewear.
How do you spell Dirty Bird?
DIDROY, something like that.
Let's see. Let's find out.
It's on worldwide.
Yeah.
It's on worldwide. It's by the creators of X Brand EKS goggles.
Yeah, DIRDY.
Big in the moto world.
DIRDY Bird.
Yeah, I've been riding those a bunch, and they're relatively inexpensive compared to the more premium brands out there. So
it's like a transition lens.
Would recommend trying them. Yeah, it's got a photochromatic lens and transitions from light to dark or clear to shaded.
Yeah.
They also have one amber lens, which is my preferred lens that I ride with almost like probably 9 out of 10 rides. I just grab the amber.
Oh, really? I haven't tried that out yet.
Yeah.
I've been
running those for the past year or so and no issues and been stoked on them. They look good.
Nice.
Yeah, they have cool adjustability on the nose piece and like the angle too.
Mm-hmm.
So
like
you can like adjust them out for your face. So yeah, they're pretty cool in that sense.
Works well. Are expensive glasses worth it? Maybe. I mean, you can get some super nice Oakleys for like $230, right? They're pretty expensive.
I think so.
But they're super light. The technology is there in the lens, and it's just a premium offering. If you're into premium stuff, then that's what you want to get.
Yeah. I got the Oakley Sutros.
Sutros are nice.
They're nice.
I love those.
Yeah.
But it just depends. They have so many different combinations for lenses, and I think I got the road ones, but they have another ones like for trail, and it's probably more of a coral.
It's a coral, yeah.
It is a bit overwhelming how many options there are.
Yeah.
Looking at like 100% site, remember last year I was picking out some glasses.
So many.
And I was overwhelmed.
Yeah. I run the Dirty Birds and I like them, but I still love my 100% S2s.
Yeah, those are great glasses.
They just fit my face really well, and then I always run the hyper coral lens on those.
Yeah, coral, honestly, even on a sunny day, like you get used to it, and then you just have so much definition in the trail.
Yeah, it lightens the shadows a lot. So and especially transitioning like in and out of kind of, tree coverage and not, it works really well.
I'll tell you what also, if you're doing some night riding, there's nothing wrong with a pair of safety glasses from Home Depot.
That's what I'm talking about.
Those work.
Jared had some Milwaukee safety glasses on his desk the other day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. and they work. Honestly, they have the best anti-fog properties of any glasses I've ever worn. Like, and it's amazing. They do not fog up. Like, I will die on that hill. The Milwaukee glasses are really good, and they're like $10 or $15.
Yeah,
like,
if you're in a pinch and you need to get something out real quick, then man, go to Home Depot.
What about the
Lowe's real
Lokes from
quick.
your local liquor store?
With the what?
not the Lokes.
The Lokes.
The Lowe's?
Yeah.
You don't know about those?
No, I don't.
Oh man,
Missing out.
Yeah, yeah. But honestly, those are great. I love them, and they got like a rubberized arms almost, so it's like it pretty much works with most helmets. And that's a huge thing too. Is like what glasses work with your helmet. Like, found so many that just like push down on your ears or they're uncomfortable. So you could try any glasses you want, find them online, try them on with your helmet, and you're like, this just does not work. So
one thing I'm huge on is with glasses is how comfortable are they on a 3-hour plus ride.
Yeah.
You know, I used to have a pair of 100% Speedcraft glasses, and man, they would just dig into the back of my ears real bad, and I just can't stand that.
Yeah.
Especially for riding day after day.
I don't know what it is, but it must be the bridge of my nose, because a lot of them will start tapping on like the bridge, the plastic part.
oh geez.
So maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, it's worth trying on with your helmet on too, because sometimes the top of the glasses will hit the bridge of the or the bottom of the helmet and move down and drive you
like
nuts
rattles
too, so.
right here in front of your
That's
face.
not the move, man.
No, that is not the move. But you know what is the move? These SRAM Mavens.
SRAM Mavens, man.
In the SRAM Maven post, there's a mention of rotor color as an indicator of proper operating temperature. Is that only for these new Maven where the sweet spot is critical, or should I be looking for rotor color on my codes as well?
No, it's just a general rule of thumb. They're just kind of explaining it more in detail with these Mavens. But basically what they're saying is if your rotor is black and blue and super discolored, looks like you just put a torch to it, then you're obviously getting the brake way too hot. It's not working as effectively.
You go up in rotor size in that case.
Go up in rotor size, so that's more heat dissipation, less heat buildup. So basically they want your rotor to be kind of a bronzy brownish color. That means you're getting to like optimal temperature. And if it's clear, you're maybe running it too cool and there's not being enough friction being generated. What's cool with those Mavens is the caliper is so big. It really has a lot of like good thermal properties to it. So it can take the heat a lot better or manage it. There's not a lot of up and down with the heat cycles on it, and keeps it just way more consistent. And yeah, I've been running it for the past couple of weeks, and man, I've been super, super happy with them.
Yeah. Those are the most insane brakes I've ever felt on a bike.
I'm trying to get them from a new e-bike.
Oh, hey, new e-bike.
I'll say with those two, they come stock with organic pads. And I haven't run organic pads in years because I have had bad experiences with them in the past where they, on a long downhill run, they'll just stop working pretty much, or
you just nuke them.
Or if it's wet, they just don't really work at all.
Exactly.
So they came stock on them. They come stock OEM on all models. So I was like, well, I'll give it a fair shot. See, this is what they want you to be running at first, because otherwise, like all the codes come with sintered metallic pads first, right? So tried them out even in the wet as well. It's been raining a lot here, and been pretty happy with it. I'm running 200 millimeter rotors on the Crestline e-bike, so heavy e-bike. Going on.
Typically, we'd run 220s.
Typically, I would always run a 220 on an e-bike, especially going fast and doing some rough downhill runs. And yeah, on the rear rotor, it's nice and bronze, and even on the front rotor, it's not even discolored at all. So you could even go down if you wanted to on the front rotor.
That's
but
crazy.
The Zeb is a 200 millimeter
post.
minimum. So
crazy.
It's crazy. I've never had a brake do that before personally. So very excited to keep on riding those and testing them out and seeing what they can go. But I think they're kind of changing the game a little bit.
For sure. The power is insane on those. It makes sense. You see how huge that caliper is. It's like twice the size of a code caliper.
Yeah, I mean, all the guys that I've showed it to or people at the shop are like, wow, the brake looks like it could be on my motorcycle.
Right. Yeah. Everybody was saying like, all the spy shots we got on the World Cup last year, like, I thought that was like a cover over the caliper. Like, no, that's the actual caliper.
Actual brake.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's crazy.
Well, speaking of colors, why are all bike accessory manufacturers using different colors? Every teal accent on my bike is a little different, whether it's Yeti teal or P&W teal or whatever. Can't everyone get together and use the same shades? Well, Liam, you kind of deal a little bit with anodizing and stuff like that.
Yeah, as someone who tries to match shades, it's not just as easy as going, that should match that.
Yeah, unless it's like black, which is usually a fair bet.
And even that's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to match black ano to black ano.
Yeah.
So there's like a lot of different reasons for that. Every alloy batch is going to anode a little different, and every anode batch will also anode a little different. So anodized colors are really hard to get super consistent. And then same thing when you transfer like that same shade to a rubber to a plastic. Like each one of those changes from different materials will also like basically be a different color, slightly from the shade, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's like the biggest part is it's just really hard, especially teal. Teal and blues are really sensitive, and reds and pinks are really sensitive.
Yeah.
So those two are really hard to do. I've been trying to match bronze for weeks now. It's like, I think that maybe that's why I'm losing my hair. Some of this ano matching, man.
Sometimes we'll go to build up a custom bike here at the shop, and the customer wants to get like matching color accessories, right?
Yeah.
Like grips and dropper lever and seat post clamp and stuff. And you would think it would all be pretty similar, and then something is just, it's the same color, but it's way off. And like, nope, just let's take that one off and have it match a little bit better. It's
Yeah. We know what they say.
It's
When
cool.
in doubt, black it out.
Yeah.
You can have it in any color you want as long as it's black.
That's right.
That's my motto.
Yep.
That's right. You and Henry Ford both.
Yep. And DT Swiss.
And DT Swiss. Yeah, that's right. But yeah, you know, I learned that lesson the hard way. I had a Santa Cruz Nomad when I started working at Worldwide, and like I was the same way. Like I wanted blue accents. It was a black bike. Thought it looked pretty sick. And like, yeah, and then you end up with 4 different shades of blue on your bike. And that is not very cool.
It's just hard. Like in titanium to alloy
Yeah.
is going to be different ano.
And rubber or plastic to metal. And like you're going to have obviously different sheens and like levels of metallic or shine to it. It's like,
if you bought one spray paint can and painted all your parts with that one spray paint can, they would match.
They would. It might look real bad though.
Yeah, it's just a hard thing to match. So.
yeah, it
I would
is.
say just stick with the same manufacturer if you can. If you're
Yeah.
going to go with Trail 1, use Trail 1. If you're going to use 1UP, use all 1UP stuff or P&W or
For sure.
whatever. That'll be your best bet, but it's still not even an exact match at that
Yeah,
point.
For sure.
But still, yeah, a rubber grip to ano part is going to be a very hard match.
Yeah. Yeah. You're better off just going like totally different colors and accentuating or, you know, doing a contrast of them.
Yep.
I personally think. Sweet. Trevor, you want to read this next one?
Yeah. Cool. So bought my Revel Ranger V1 through Worldwide Cyclery in late 2022. Great experience. Thank you. Currently running the RW27s with Hydra hubs. Looking for a second carbon wheel set at 30 millimeter internal width. There's a lot of debate in the mountain bike community about straight pull versus J-bend spokes, strength, longevity, ride feel, etc. I ride mostly XC Trail, no drops or jumps more than a few feet. Please provide your opinions, pros, cons, benefits of each, and what do you prefer?
So it's just talking about J-bend versus straight pull?
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because,
I mean, you guys build the wheels around here.
I mean,
Straight pull is good. It's nice and light. The hub is
yeah.
just lighter. There's less spoke material.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's actually more spoke material.
Is there?
It's longer. But
That is true.
yeah, but there's less hub, which weighs more.
Less hub for sure.
Yeah.
And in my experience, I feel like the straight pull spokes kind of resonate sound a little bit more, and they'll kind of ping a little bit more. In my experience, and I think personally, I think J-bend is a little bit stronger.
Yeah, it is stronger because you have a better bracing angle and your hub flange comes up more, which means you have less spoke.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
So supposedly Richie Rude will train on straight pull but race on J-bend for that reason.
Whoa.
It feels
Interesting.
better, stiffer.
Go figure, man. Never
But
even
I
thought
about
about
for XC and stuff, like you could kind of go either. You're not going to feel a big difference. The bigger is going to be on like what rim you choose. It's going to be a big difference. So
yeah, there's maybe a little bit more options for like arrow bladed spokes with the straight pull system. So if you're looking for XC Trail and arrow light spokes, that might be a better option. Or just to save a little bit of weight, XC Trail with no drops and jumps, then that might be a better option for you for sure. Just to save a little bit of weight. Otherwise, not a huge deal.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I mean, is there any like factors with building the wheel straight pull versus J-bend or like replacing spokes?
Straight
like,
pull, you do have to hold
use like a holder
you have to
or
hold the
something?
spoke in
Yeah.
place because it'll spin. Just an extra step. I mean, it's a little bit of a pain, but it's not that bad. You can change the spoke kind of on the fly, maybe a little bit easier with a straight pull. You can just pull it straight out. Sometimes you don't even have to take the cassette or rotor off.
That's
I've done that
true.
in a hotel room before.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So a little bit easier in that regard, but
straight pull spokes are also a little bit harder to find in a pinch than a
Yes.
J-bend.
for sure. Yeah.
So-
Typically at the shop, if I need to get a straight pull spoke, it's a very specific tapered spoke and could be ablated or not. And I generally have to order it. So
Yeah.
keep that in mind.
Well, there you go. That's some good 2 cents right there from
I have
some wheel
wheels
builders.
with both, so
Yeah. I mean, I personally never even thought about like the ride characteristic difference between the two. Like, I don't know. I guess you have to ride them back to back to really tell the difference, right?
yeah. I mean,
Even then.
my trail bike ones are straight pull, and I've never thought these ride different than J-bend.
Yeah.
It's just what came with the bike. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Comes with a bike. I'm going to run it. If I'm building up a wheel set for myself for more maybe heavy duty use, I'm going to go J-bend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
yeah. But I'm building some lightweight gravel wheels that are straight pull.
Exactly. Pick your poison.
Pick your poison.
yeah.
Different strokes for different folks. Speaking of folks, on your most recent podcast, Liam mentioned that when running Squirt Lube, his drivetrain remains really clean. I have had another riding buddy say the same, but I've had the opposite experience. Squirt seems to be a bit heavier than lubes like Rock and Roll Gold, and I noticed some gunk around the chainring and jockey wheels. Do you have any tips when applying Squirt? Do you have any tips?
Well, Rock and Roll Gold is pretty light stuff.
It's super light,
Yeah.
but I feel like it does attract some, but it doesn't last long.
Right.
I find
Yeah,
like
there's always
by the
gonna be a
end of your
compromise.
ride, you hear it.
There's always going to be a compromise with
Yeah.
that stuff.
The Squirt, the main thing is obviously start with a really clean setup, but put it on the night before you ride.
100%.
Give it a full like couple hours to dry. The other morning, I realized that I'd washed my bike, cleaned my chain, didn't put any on, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna ride a dry chain today because it's gonna be better than putting on Squirt in the morning and going out with a wet chain.
Yeah.
Because then if it's wet, then it doesn't do the job of being a dry wax-based lube and drying, and then basically it's dry, so it doesn't allow any dirt to stick to it.
Yeah.
So I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing you might be going out with applying a Squirt in the morning or right before your ride, and then going out and riding, because that will attract a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say keep it dry and do a quick wipe down after your ride. I hardly get build up on my pulley wheels.
Yeah,
like hardly at all.
I would say in my experience, I am guilty of lubing my chain in the morning before a ride, and it does gunk up on the pulley wheels. It will do that,
Yeah.
but just because I'm not doing it the correct way. On like customers' bikes here at the shop, if it's super clean, I'll lube it. In fact, on Squirt's instructions, they say to lube it, wait 5 minutes, lube it again, don't wipe it off, and just let it sit overnight. And if you go to it the next morning, you'll see that wax buildup, and nothing's going to attract to that at all. It has a super thick coating on there. It'll kind of break free once you start riding it, and it'll be good to go.
Yeah.
And it'll kind of flake off too as you start riding.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that too. Liam, you got me on the Squirt train. I'm the caboose.
Yeah.
Last one on it.
I might dive into chain waxing soon.
Whoa, yeah. I mean, we did get the homie from Zero Friction Cycling chiming in about our lack of knowledge on that subject. So I think, I did watch the video and it did look like it is pretty easy. But
Well, Silka just came out with a new chain waxing tool.
Whoa,
It's like its own crock pot.
Nice.
It's $100,
really?
but I haven't bought it yet. I need to do more research and I've been busy, but it's like its own chain crock pot, and it heats up to optimal temperature, and then it has a chain hanger. So you literally like pull it up, all the wax drips down, it's dry, you're good to go.
Nice.
Sweet.
So I need to do a little bit more research of like when to do it and all that. But also you wax that, and I think in between waxing sessions, you still put Squirt on it, or I think in this case, Silka, if you use Silka wax, they want you to use Silka chain lube on top of that. But
Yeah.
so it's just like kind of giving you like your base down,
Yeah.
and then you do very light wax-based lube, like a wet lube, like Squirt, top off in between your big waxing sessions. But
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean,
Worth trying.
it's just another rabbit hole to dive into. What I've already
Yeah.
dove into 20 this year, so it's only
What's another
February.
one, right?
Yeah.
it definitely doesn't seem like it takes that long, but like with that said, it's really not that hard to just put a little bit of chain lube on and call it a day.
Yeah, just try to. It's hard sometimes. Sometimes you'll last second go for a ride and your chain's not lubed and you
Yeah.
have to lube it. it is what it is. It's going to gunk up a little bit. It's better than not having chain lube.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you did it. But
Well,
did it.
a gunky chain is worse for your drive chain than a dry chain.
yeah.
It's just more annoying. But if I'm by myself, I'll just throw a headphone in. Makes no difference.
There you go. But yeah,
All
I've
right.
been enjoying the squirt. It's
I
pretty
ride
solid.
in Southern California and occasionally get nasty thorns stuck in my tires. Do I leave them in or pull them out? I've experienced friends with strong opinions on both sides of the issue.
I pretty much just leave them in.
Yeah, I would leave them in too. I mean, I've gone on rides where I will run over a thing of thorns and I have buddies like picking them out and letting the sealant take them. I'm just like, screw it, dude. Like I've got big mountain bike tires on and fresh sealant. I know the sealant's in there. If you don't have sealant in your tires, it's a different issue. But if you have sealant in your tires, really the thorn's like the least of your issues.
Yeah, I don't really know why you would, like, what's the reason to pull them out?
Yeah.
Just because they're not in there? Jeff will do it on his gravel bike, and then he just has me take off the tires and put new ones on, and then I get the thorny gravel tires. And I've ran his thorny gravel tires for hundreds of miles.
Yeah, it's
right?
fine.
it's totally fine.
It's like
if it's a goat head, I'll like pull it out.
Yeah.
But like if it's just a bunch of like little thorns,
it's like, what do they say? If like if you, let's say you fall on a trail and you get stabbed by a stick or something like that, you leave it in, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about tires. Sure.
Same concept.
Same concept.
You don't want to bleed out.
Well, you know
don't
there's
want-
going to be blood in there, but the sealant, I don't
Freight
know.
chain riders know this. You'll bleed out.
But personally, thorns, I guess, I don't really know. But if it's a go ahead, pull it out. I'm a weirdo. I kind of like to see the sealant plug it up and be like, yeah, look at that.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll just pull it out just because it's kind of amusing.
Yeah, it is, right? It's kind of entertaining to be like, "Tss," and then it
Now
stops.
the little mold hairs on the tires, I will sit there and cut those all off.
Actually, this weekend when I was riding with Reggie, I pulled a thorn out of his tire and I saw a sealant coming out of it. I was like, hey, can you get off your bike real quick? I need to like move this hole to the bottom of your tire. So the seals, you don't get a flat right now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It is pretty fun to watch it seal up, but as long as, like you said, as long as you know there's sealant in there,
you're good to go.
if you do not remember the last time you put sealant in your tire, maybe
I
just leave it in.
I do ride in like for backcountry rides when I have a Camelback or a USP pack on or something. I do carry a little bottle of stain sealant because I have gone on gravel rides before where all we needed to fix an issue was to put sealant in a tire. And it was a tire that we hadn't checked the sealant on. And if you just have a little bit of sealant, man, it'll save your whole afternoon.
Yeah.
Could get you out of deep trouble.
I change tires so much I never worry about my sealant.
Yeah, it's not even
true,
generally
man.
for me because I'm pretty responsible with that as well. It's for my friends.
All my spares are for my friends.
Yeah.
They're never for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we rode this weekend at Vail Lake and there's people all around us and I'm carrying a pack full of a bunch of stuff, but it's like, that's not for me.
Yeah.
That's for someone else having an issue.
Yeah, you know you're dialed in.
Mm-hmm.
Good point. Well, Liam, you want to read this next one here?
Yep. I recently upgraded the rear shock from a float DPS to a float X, and I'm having trouble setting my sag. I ride with a propane Hugene on my DPS, and I had 30% sag at 165 PSI and about 165 to 170. That all checks out. With my new shock, I started with the same PSI and did a few quick laps. I know I should have checked sag first. Afterwards, I noticed my sag a little more than normal. Upon measuring, it was 50%. I took my time to set up sag again, damping off equalized as I inflated, and I ended up with 28% sag around 250 PSI. It seems like a lot of PSI to me. What could be going on here, and what recommendations do you have? Cheers from Idaho.
Very interesting.
Well,
Very interesting.
they are different shocks, so they're going to run different pressures. Like that's straight up. That's almost 100 PSI different.
250 PSI is extreme for a float X for somebody who weighs
That
170.
is a lot. What I would do is I would look at your float DPS, type in the serial number into Fox's website. I think if you just type in like Fox serial number code
or tune ID.
or tune ID, it'll take you there.
It will.
And it will tell you if that bike, for whatever reason, had a really light or really like different compression tune. It might be hard to decipher because it's like, LLC or, MMC or something like that. But that could be a big part of it is your compression tunes just on the stock shock is pretty specific for that bike. And your new Float X is probably just like a medium off the shelf. But yeah,
Very possible.
That's the only thing I was thinking of.
and other than that, it's just a different shock. You could probably drop to 240 PSI and get to your 30% sag and not 28.
yeah.
Yeah, it'd
But-
be more normal if it was the opposite way around. Like maybe he didn't equalize the chambers
Yeah.
or something like that. But if he's at 28% sag with 250 psi. Also check your shock pump. Make sure that you're at 250. Make sure that when you undo the shock pump, you're not letting out 100 psi. Because I've had that happen to me before with the sticky shock pump, and you will literally let out 100 psi just from a sticky kind of shock pump. So try another shock pump and see how that goes.
Or for whatever reason, there's a few cases where like the shock pump you have doesn't thread on all the way when you go to a different shock. Maybe there's something in the way, or the threads aren't as deep on that shock, and it won't like fully engage. I've had that happen.
There's too much oil on the Schrader valve too. That could be it. So there's a couple of things. It could be just something weird. I don't think the shock's wrong, but
but
check. Eliminate some variables there and check it out.
Yeah. I mean, that does seem like super high PSI, but like you said, Liam, I think that could just maybe be the tune issue or something like that. Well, boys, I think we got time for one more. Why did floating brakes that were popular in the early 2000s die off? If MTB armchair engineers are always worried about characteristics like anti-rise, why not have a floating link? Eminent Cycles tried this. The reviews were great, but they seem to have missed the mark.
I think it adds a bit of complexity, and like kinematics have come a long way in the ability to tune them, and kind of like also where it matters, right? Like, you can look at like this chart and be like, okay, yeah, I want 105% anti-rise. But it's like, that doesn't really matter until you're in this specific situation. I'm not totally sure. I mean, you see a couple brands doing it in the World Cups. Commonsol was messing around with it a little bit, and I think Mondraker were on their most recent prototypes. But both of them eventually stopped using them. So it's probably just a testing thing to see like if they could eliminate a certain variable and then, tune the bike from there. I'm not totally sure why they don't catch on, but I'm guessing they just add weight and complexity that,
not
doesn't
necessarily.
Negligible
it doesn't add
benefits.
more improvement than the weight does or the complexity, right? It's extra bearings, it's extra parts.
It is cool to see like the World Cup downhill guys testing out stuff like that though. I think that's just trick stuff, and they're always testing stuff with brake sensors and whatnot. But I don't really have a good answer for that either.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it is like, it boils down to like what you said, Liam. Like, there's not really there's a negligible benefit from that, where like the bikes are already running pretty good, just how they are, and you don't need to add like this whole complexity to the mold or the whole manufacturing process when it's like really not going to add that much benefit to it. But with that said, looks super cool, and like you can say you have a floating brake mount. Like,
looks pretty trick.
Yeah, it looks pretty trick.
I actually think we can hit this last one as well.
Sweet, send it.
I currently own and ride 2021 Orbea Ois with 100mm front and rear Fox suspension, set up by all terms cross-country rig. I've done what I can to make it more trail-worthy. I've added Maxxis Minion tires, 1-up trail pedals, Trail 1 bar stem grips, and a dropper post as Dior level drivetrain and brakes. Is there anything else I can do outside of just buying an Orbea Occam to get the trail level bike I desire? Well, no. You have 100 he has a 100mm fork. You can do 120.
You could do a 120,
Yeah, I would say first is overstroke the fork.
Yeah, go 120 fork.
So you'd have to jump from a 32 to 34 to do that, but getting a 34 step cast on there,
it's a good idea.
Would probably actually be a big improvement. It'll slacken out your head tube, give you thicker stanchions, and just kind of a more upright front end. So,
I mean, you could see if there's a reservoir shock available for that size stroke and
it's true.
And go from there. But I think the tires are going to make a big difference in that too.
Yeah, well, he's got DHF and DHR. I mean, that's pretty solid. But I mean, hey, worst case scenario, you can always get another bike.
And plus one.
Yeah.
And plus one. That's right. If it's already in your head, man, it's not going to get out of your head. But if you're going to get another bike, I mean, I would get like an enduro bike at that point, like something a little more travel. You got the cross-country bike. Go to the next end of the extreme. Rayon?
The Rayon.
Oh, like that, is that what Marco had out in in Italy?
Yeah, that's a good bike.
That is a good bike. And he was riding some crazy stuff on that thing. But, I think that's it. That's all for this one, boys. Thank you, everyone, so much for listening and watching, tuning in on your favorite podcast platform. And speaking of which, if you have the desire to go and rate us and send us your screenshot of your rating to podcast@worldwidecycler.com, we will send you
a gift from
me. $15 gift card to the website.
$15 gift card is what we'll send you.
That is what we will send you.
Buy yourself something cool.
Buy yourself something nice. Treat
You can
yourself.
get bottles, you can get grips, you can get whatever.
Yep. Whatever you like. So thank you again very much for listening and watching. We appreciate it.
Peace.
Good night.
Love ya.